Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions regarding this watch. Let me just say that if George Daniels or Roger Smith or F.P. Journe had made this, it would cost as much as a house. You wouldn't be able to get within 10 feet of it at an event, and it would probably be on the cover of some sort of an auction catalog. However, because this Breguet Classique Tourbillon 3657BA is made by modern-day Breguet, it offers no less sophistication, but an incredible opportunity for an open-minded collector who's buying quality first and social media cachet last. Or never. This watch right here, 39 millimeters in diameter, in yellow gold, is a nice compact package. It's only 46.6 from lug tip to lug tip and 10.7 millimeters thick. It has a 20 millimeter spacing in between the lugs. And it's an easy watch to wear. Although Breguet watches in the modern era with these sort of pastille style lugs can wear a bit large, I still find that on my smallish 16 centimeter circumference wrist, this is a fit. And I actually think this would fit on a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference. The down the barrel angle, even with a very stiff strap, shows that I've got some clearance. Over the top exaggerates the width of the watch so you can see it still fits, and then it's fairly thin with a domed bezel so it will slide under a dress cuff. The strap is beefy, large, symmetrical, rectangular scale alligator leather. Always indicative of a good cut of the beast. Folded edge, monotone stitch, a lot of bolstering to give it volume, no crimping, no gouging, Breguet factory strap, calfskin on the bottom, and then we have this friction fit Breguet single fold deployant clasp with a combination of polish and media blast externally. Now you can see this clasp is fit to the strap using screws and bars, and this strap is fit to the case using screws and bars. So the nightmares I've seen and the disasters that have resulted from worn spring bars will not befall this watch. A bit more expensive to make it this way, but Breguet clearly was not counting pennies. Taking a quick look, you can see people always ask me, Tim, what's wrong with the side of the case? Those are slots for case knives, which watchmakers will use to open this watch. So nothing wrong there. Taking a look at the lugs, welded on, old school case construction. So the lug, the case made separately, the lugs slotted into a notch in the edge of the case and then welded on to make them one with filing to create that super sharp break. And then we have cold rolling to create the coining of the case and then hand finishing in a jig to get this ultra clean execution that you see here. The bezel has a little bit of a flange to its edge, and you can actually see there's a bit of a flange to the case back in the bezel, which defines the mid case. Breguet thought of everything, giving you a little kerf underneath to dig your nail into the crown, which is Breguet branded. Taking a look at the dial, it is made of solid gold. So the disc of gold is first cut on lathes, and we have a couple of different finishes here. Outboard, you can see we've got a sort of filet sauté. Here we have, maybe you could call this a little bit of a vague pattern, a wave. We have clou de Paris, and then a grand dorche. So very good looking. So a solid disc of gold cut laboriously by a guillocheur. And you can see guilloche main, hand-guided lathe. We also have fired steel hands, a la Breguet. And we have pantograph etched miniature Breguet secret signatures on the primary dial. A couple things going on here. First, the Tourbillon, a great Breguet innovation. And in fact, people will ask, what is this on the back? This is the revolutionary calendar, and it translates, unless I'm mistaken, to June 26th, 1801. That would have been the day Breguet patented the Tourbillon, although he had prototypes running probably as early as 1795. But that's officially Tourbillon Day. Also important, we'll get back to that spectacular case bag in a moment, you could see that this Tourbillon acts as the seconds hand for the dial. It's free sprung for durability, and we could see no compromise. It is adjusted in 6 positions, not the chronometer standard of 5, but 6. Overcoil Breguet hairspring, you better believe it's got a Breguet overcoil, which is not just there for historic reasons. This free sprung balance with overcoil hairspring has been set up to run isochronously in every position. So isochronous means even timekeeping, and gravity, thanks to that overcoil and multi-position adjustment, will have very little impact on the timekeeping qualities of the Tourbillon. Now you can see this upper bridge is beautifully satinated and beveled, and if you look closely, you can see we have those 4 inward angles where the arms of the bridge meet the center. You can see those little inward filed joints where the bevels meet in a sharp crease. Really special stuff. The tourbillon carriage is also finished with absolutely no compromise and cost no object. A slow-beating tourbillon is always aesthetically pleasant. And then on the back, you can see that this is a métier d'art piece. This is freehand engraving with a spectacular banknote scrolling. Absolutely unbelievable stuff. You can see first, the movement is turned to create this satination. Then it's engraved, and then it's gilded. This is caliber 560 with a 50 to 55 hour manual wind power reserve, pivoting on 24 jewels with a nice large diameter to fit the case. And you can see the beveling is second to none on some of the interior facets of this case back. You can see the same around the edge of the aperture. And then you can see all screw heads have been mirror polished with chamfered slots in circumference. Going back around to the dial, you might ask, what is this? This is a retrograding 24-hour indicator. So you know, for example, whether you're looking at day or night. Now, the first thing that happens is when you pull the crown out, it jumps to the end of its scale. So now we just want to know, am I looking at 6 a.m. or 6 p.m.? Well, you can see right there, we're closer to the end than the beginning, and we're past the midpoint. So this is going to be 6 p.m. That's what this little diurnal scale accomplishes. El Dion. 30 meters water resistant, but you've got to be smarter than that. You know what I mean? This is not a watch for swimming. You've got a Breguet Marine for that. This is for all those other good times. If I owned this, I'd wear it full time. Who cares if it's a dress watch? The man makes the watch, not the other way around. Wear this thing with shorts, a t-shirt, panache, and no apologies. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.